Hey, Shalom Akim, Yahabashim El Shah Barakathum. Today we're going to read the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapters 36 and 37. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 36. Have mercy upon us, O Yahweh power of all, and behold us, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power. As thou wast sanctified in us before them, so be thou magnified among them before us. And let them know thee as we have known thee, that there is no power but only thou, O Yahweh. Shew new signs, and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy. Make the time short. Remember the covenant, and let them declare thy wonderful works. Let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. Smite and sunder the heads of the rulers of the heathen that say, there is none other but we. Gather all the tribes of Jacob together, and inherit thou them as from the beginning. O Lord, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel, whom thou hast named thy firstborn. O be merciful unto Jerusalem, thy holy city, the place of thy rest. Fill Zion with thy unspeakable oracles, and thy people with thy glory. Give testimony unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning, and raise up prophets that have been in thy name. Reward them that wait for thee, and let thy prophets be found faithful. O Lord, hear the prayer of thy servants, according to the blessing of Aaron over thy people, that all they which dwell upon the earth may know that thou art the Lord, the eternal power. The belly devoureth all meats, yet is one meat better than another. As the palate tasteth diverse kinds of venison, so doth an heart of understanding false speeches. A froward heart causeth heaviness, but a man of experience will recompense him. A woman will receive every man, yet is one daughter better than another. The beauty of a woman cheereth the countenance, and a man loveth nothing better. If there be kindness, meekness, and comfort in her tongue, then is not her husband like other men. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled, and he that hath no wife will wander up and down mourning. Who will trust a thief well appointed that skippeth from city to city? So, who will believe a man that have no house, and lodgeth wheresoever the night taketh him? This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 37. Every friend saith, I am his friend also, but there is a friend which is only a friend in name. Is it not a grief unto death, when a companion and friend is turned to an enemy? O wicked imagination, whence camest thou in to cover the earth with deceit? There is a companion which rejoiceth in the prosperity of a friend, but in the time of trouble will be against him. There is a companion which helpeth his friend for the belly, and taketh up the buckler against the enemy. Forget not thy friend in thy mind, and be not unmindful of him in thy riches. Every counselor extolleth counsel, but there are some that counseleth for himself. Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he hath, for he will counsel for himself, lest he cast the lot upon thee, and say unto thee, thy way is good, and afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee. Consult not with one that suspecteth thee, and hide thy counsel from such as envy thee. Neither consult with a woman touching her of whom she is jealous, neither with a coward in matters of war, nor with a merchant concerning exchange, nor with a buyer of selling, nor with an envious man of thankfulness, nor with an unmerciful man touching kindness, nor with the slothful for any work, nor with an hireling for a year of finishing work, nor with an idle servant of much business. Hearken not unto these in any matter of counsel, but be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry. And let the counsel of thine own heart stand, for there is no man more faithful unto thee than it. For a man's mind is sometime wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in an high tower. And above all this, pray to the Most High, that he will direct thy way in truth. Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action. The countenance is a sign of changing of the heart. 4 manner of things appear, good and evil, life and death, but the tongue ruleth over them continually. There is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. There is one that sheweth wisdom in words, and is hated. He shall be destitute of all food. For grace is not given him from the Lord, because he is deprived of all wisdom. Another is wise to himself, and the fruits of understanding are commendable in his mouth. A wise man instructeth his people, and the fruits of his understanding fail not. A wise man shall be filled with blessing, and all they that see him shall count him happy. The days of the life of man may be numbered, but the days of Israel are innumerable. A wise man shall inherit glory among his people, and his name shall be perpetual. My son, prove thy soul in thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. For all things are not profitable for all men, neither have every soul pleasure in everything. Be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats. For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting will turn into choler. But surfeiting have many by surfeiting have many perished, but he that taketh heed prolongeth his life. Book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapters 38 and 39. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 38. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord hath created him. For of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be an admiration. The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. Was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? And he hath given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works. With such doth he heal men, and taketh away their pains. Of such doth the apothecary make a confection, and of his works there is no end, and from him is peace over all the earth. My son, in thy sickness be not negligent, but pray unto the Lord, and he will make thee whole. Leave off from sin, and order thy hands aright, and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness. Give a sweet savor, and a memorial of fine flour, and make a fat offering as not being. Then give place to the physician, for the Lord hath created him. Let him not go from thee, for thou hast need of him. There is a time when in their hands there is good success, for they shall also pray unto the Lord that he would prosper that which they give for ease and remedy to prolong life. He that sinneth before his Maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician. My son, let tears fall down over the dead, and begin to lament, as if thou hast suffered great harm thyself. And then cover his body according to the custom, and neglect not his burial. Weep bitterly, and make great moan, and use lamentation as he is worthy, and that a day or two, lest thou be evil spoken of, and then comfort thyself for thy heaviness. For of heaviness cometh death, and the heaviness of the heart breaketh strength. In affliction also sorrow remaineth, and the life of the poor is the curse of the heart. Take no heaviness to heart, drive it away, and remember the last end. Forget it not, for there is no turning again. Thou shalt not do him good, but hurt thyself. Remember my judgment, for thine also shall be so. Yesterday for me, and today for thee. When the dead is at rest, let his remembrance rest, and be comforted for him, when his spirit is departed from him. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that have little business shall become wise. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plough, and that glorieth in the goad, that driveth oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks? He giveth his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give the keen fodder. So every carpenter and workmaster that laboreth night and day, and they that cut and grave seals, and are diligent to make great variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, and watch to finish a work. The smith also, sitting by the anvil, and considering the iron work, the vapor of the fire wasteth his flesh, and he fighteth with the heat of the furnace. The noise of the hammer and the anvil is ever in his ears, and his eyes look still upon the pattern of the thing that he maketh. He setteth his mind to finish his work, and watcheth to polish it perfectly. So doth the potter sitting at his work, and turning the wheel about with his feet, who is always carefully set at his work, and maketh all his work by number. He fashioneth the clay with his arm, and boweth down his strength before his feet. He applieth himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 39. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtile parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men, and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men. He will give his heart to resort early to the Lord that made him, and will pray before the Most High, and will open his mouth in prayer and make supplication for his sins. When the great Lord will, He shall be filled with the spirit of understanding. He shall pour out wise sentences and give thanks unto the Lord in his prayer. He shall direct his counsel in knowledge, and in his secrets shall he meditate. He shall shew forth that which he have learned, and shall glory in the law of the covenant of the Lord. Many shall commend his understanding, and so long as the world endureth, it shall not be blotted out. His memorial shall not depart away, and his name shall live from generation to generation. Nations shall shew forth his wisdom, and the congregation shall declare his praise. If he die, he shall leave a greater name than 1,000, and if he live, he shall increase it. Yet have I more to say, which I have thought upon, for I am filled as the moon at the full. Hearken unto me, ye holy children, and bud forth as a rose growing by the brook of the field. And give ye a sweet savour of frankincense, and flourish as a lily. Send forth a smell, and sing a song of praise. Bless the Lord in all his works. Magnify his name, and shew forth his praise with the songs of your lips, and with harps. And in praising him ye shall say after this manner, all the works of the Lord are exceeding good, and whatsoever he commandeth shall be accomplished in due season. And none may say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For at time convenient they shall all be sought out. At his commandment the waters stood as an heap, and at the words of his mouth the receptacles of waters. At his commandment is done whatsoever pleaseth him, and none can hinder when he will save. The works of all flesh are before him, and nothing can be hid from his eyes. He seeth from everlasting to everlasting, and there is nothing wonderful before him. A man need not to say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For he hath made all things for their uses. His blessing covered the dry land as a river, and watered it as a flood. As he hath turned the waters into saltness, so shall the heathen inherit his wrath. As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. For the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil, and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly. So to the sinners they are turned into evil. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force, and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth. When need is, and when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. Therefore, from the beginning I was resolved, and thought upon these things, and have left them in writing. All the works of the Lord are good, and he will give every needful thing in due season. So that a man cannot say, this is worse than that, for in the time they shall all be well approved. And therefore praise ye the Lord with the whole heart and mouth, and bless the name of the Lord. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapters 40 and 41. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 40. Great travail is created for every man, and an heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam, from the day that they go out of their mother's womb, till the day that they return to the mother of all things. Their imagination of things to come in the day of death trouble their thoughts, and cause fear of heart. From him that sitteth on a throne of glory, unto him that is humbled in earth and ashes. From him that weareth purple in a crown, unto him that is clothed with a linen frock. Wrath and envy, trouble and unquietness, fear of death, and anger and strife, and in the time of rest upon his bed, his night's sleep, do change his knowledge. A little or nothing is his rest, and afterward he is in his sleep, as in a day of keeping watch, troubled in the vision of his heart, as if he were escaped out of a battle. When all is safe, he awaketh and marveleth that the fear was nothing. Such things happen unto all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners. Death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. These things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood. All things that are of the earth shall return to the earth again, and that which is of the waters doth return into the sea. All bribery and injustice shall be blotted out, but true dealing shall endure forever. The goods of the unjust shall be dried up like a river, and shall vanish with noise, like a great thunder and rain. While he openeth his hand, he shall rejoice. So shall transgressors come to naught. The children of the ungodly shall not bring forth many branches, but are as unclean roots upon a hard rock. The weed growing upon every water and bank of a river shall be pulled up before all grass. Bountifulness is as a most fruitful garden, and mercifulness endure forever. To labor and to be content with that a man have is a sweet life, but he that findeth a treasure is above them both. Children and the building of a city continue a man's name, but a blameless wife is counted above them both. Wine and music rejoice the heart, but the love of wisdom is above them both. The pipe and the psaltery make sweet melody, but a pleasant tongue is above them both. Thine eye desireth favor and beauty, but more than both corn while it is green. A friend and companion never meet amiss, but above both is a wife with her husband. Brethren and help are against time of trouble, but alms shall deliver more than them both. Gold and silver make the foot stand sure, but counsel is esteemed above them both. Riches and strength lift up the heart, but the fear of the Lord is above them both. There is no want in the fear of the Lord, and it needeth not to seek help. The fear of the Lord is a fruitful garden, and covereth him above all glory. My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg. The life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life, for he polluteth himself with other men's meat. But a wise man well nurtured will beware thereof. Begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless, but in his belly there shall burn a fire. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 41. O death, how bitter is the remembrance of thee to a man that liveth at rest in his possessions, unto the man that have nothing to vex him, and that have prosperity in all things, yea, unto him that is yet able to receive meat. O death, acceptable is thy sentence unto the needy, and unto him whose strength faileth, that is now in the last age, and is vexed with all things, and to him that despaireth and have lost patience. Fear not the sentence of death. Remember them that have been before thee, and that come after. For this is the sentence of the Lord over all flesh. And why art thou against the pleasure of the Most High? There is no inquisition in the grave, whether thou have lived 10 or 100 or 1,000 years. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Woe be unto you, ungodly men, which have forsaken the law of the Most High God. For if ye increase, it shall be to your destruction. And if ye be born, ye shall be born to a curse. And if ye die, a curse shall be your portion. All that are of the earth shall turn to earth again. So the ungodly shall go from a curse to destruction. The mourning of men is about their bodies, but an ill name of sinners shall be blotted out. Have regard to thy name, for that shall continue with thee above 1,000 great treasures of gold. A good life hath but few days, but a good name endureth forever. My children, keep discipline in peace, for wisdom that is hid and a treasure that is not seen, what profit is in them both? A man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hideth his wisdom. Therefore, be shamefaced according to my word, for it is not good to retain all shamefacedness, neither is it altogether approved in everything. Be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother, and of a lie before a prince and a mighty man, of an offense before a judge and ruler, of iniquity before a congregation and people, of unjust dealing before thy partner and friend, and of theft in regard of the place where thou sojournest, and in regard of the truth of Yahweh and his covenant, and to lean with thine elbow upon the meat, and of scorning to give and take, and of silence before them that salute thee, and to look upon an harlot, and to turn away thy face from thy kinsman, or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife, or to be over busy with his maid, and come not near her bed, or of upbraiding speeches before friends, and after thou hast given, upbraid not, or of iterating and speaking again that which thou hast heard, and of reveling of secrets. So shalt thou be truly shamefaced, and find favor before all men. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapters 42 and 43. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 42. Of these things be not thou ashamed, and accept no person to sin thereby, of the law of the Most High and his covenant, and of judgment to justify the ungodly, of reckoning with thy partners and travelers, or of the gift of the heritage of friends, of exactness of balance and weights, or of getting much or little, and of merchants in different selling, of much correction of children, and to make the side of an evil servant to bleed. Sure keeping is good, where an evil wife is, and shut up where many hands are. Deliver all things in number and weight, and put all in writing that thou givest out or receivest in. Be not ashamed to inform the unwise and foolish, and the extreme aged that contendeth with those that are young. Thus shalt thou be truly learned and approved of all men living. The father waketh for the daughter, when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her age, and being married, lest she should be hated. In her virginity, lest she should be defiled and gotten with child in her father's house, and having a husband, lest she should misbehave herself, and when she is married, lest she should be barren. Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies, and a byword in the city, and a reproach among the people, and make thee ashamed before the multitude. Behold not every body's beauty, and sit not in the midst of women. For from garments cometh a moth, and from women wickedness. Better is the churlishness of a man than a courteous woman, a woman, I say, which bringeth shame and reproach. I will now remember the works of the Lord, and declare the things that I have seen. And the words of the Lord are his works. The sun that giveth light looketh upon all things, and the work thereof is full of the glory of the Lord. The Lord hath not given power to the saints to declare all his marvelous works, which the Almighty Lord firmly settled, that whatsoever is might be established for his glory. He seeketh out the deep and the heart, and considereth their crafty devices. For the Lord knoweth all that may be known, and he beholdeth the signs of the world. He declareth the things that are past and for to come, and revealeth the steps of hidden things. No thought escapeth him, neither any word is hidden from him. He hath garnished the excellent works of his wisdom, and he is from everlasting to everlasting. Unto him may nothing be added, neither can he be diminished, and he have no need of any counselor. O how desirable are all his works, and that a man may see even to a spark. All these things live and remain forever for all uses, and they are all obedient. All things are double one against another, and he hath made nothing imperfect. One thing establisheth the good of another, and who shall be filled with beholding his glory? This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 43. The pride of the height, the clear firmament, the beauty of heaven with his glorious shew. The sun, when it appeareth, declaring at his rising a marvelous instrument, the work of the Most High. At noon it parcheth the country, and who can abide the burning heat thereof? A man blowing a furnace is in works of heat, but the sun burneth the mountains 3 times more. Breathing out fiery vapors, and sending forth bright beams, it dimmeth the eyes. Great is the Lord that made it, and at his commandment it runneth hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times, and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. The beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord. At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches. Look upon the rainbow and praise him that made it. Very beautiful it is in the brightness thereof. It compasseth the heaven about with a glorious circle, and the hands of the Most High have bended it. By his commandment he maketh the snow to fall apace, and sendeth swiftly the lightnings of his judgment. Through this the treasures are open, and clouds fly forth as fowls. By his great power he maketh the clouds firm, and the hailstones are broken small. At his sight the mountains are shaken, and at his will the south wind bloweth. The noise of the thunder maketh the earth to tremble, so doth the northern storm in the whirlwind. As birds flying he scattereth the snow, and the falling down thereof is as the lighting of grasshoppers. The eye marveleth at the beauty of the whiteness thereof, and the heart is astonished at the raining of it. The hoarfrost also as salt he poureth on the earth, and being congealed it lieth on the top of sharp stakes. When the cold north wind bloweth, and the water is congealed into ice, it abideth upon every gathering together of water, and clotheth the water as with a breastplate. It devoureth the mountains, and burneth the wilderness, and consumeth the grass as fire. A present remedy of all is a mist coming speedily, a dew coming after heat refresheth. By his counsel he appeases the deep, and planteth islands therein. They that sail on the sea tell of the dangers thereof, and when we hear it with our ears, we marvel thereat. For therein be strange and wondrous works, variety of all kinds of beasts and whales created. By him the end of them have prosperous success, and by his words all things consist. We may speak much, and yet come short, wherefore in sum he is all. How shall we be able to magnify him? For he is great above all his works. The Lord is terrible and very great, and marvelous in his power. When ye glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as ye can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when ye exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. Who have seen him that he might tell us, and who can magnify him as he is? There are yet hid greater things than these be, for we have seen but a few of his works. For the Lord have made all things, and to the godly have he given wisdom. Book of Ecclesiasticus, chapters 44 and 45. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 44. Let us now praise famous men, and our fathers that begat us. The Lord have wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding, and declaring prophecies. Leaders of the people by their counsels, and by their knowledge of learning, meet for the people, wise and eloquent in their instructions. Such as found out musical tunes, and recited verses in writing. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitations. All these were honored in their generations, and were the glory of their times. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported. And some there be which have no memorial, who are perished, as though they had never been, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children after them. But these were merciful men, whose righteousness have not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed standeth fast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. Their bodies are buried in peace, but their name liveth forevermore. The people will tell of their wisdom, and the congregation will shew forth their praise. Enoch pleased the Lord, and was translated, being an example of repentance to all generations. Noah was found perfect and righteous. In the time of wrath he was taken in exchange for the world. Therefore was he left as a remnant unto the earth when the flood came. An everlasting covenant was made with him, that all flesh should perish no more by the flood. Abraham was a great father of many people. In glory was there none like unto him, who kept the law of the Most High, and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Therefore he assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed, and that he would multiply him as the dust of the earth, and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea, and from the river unto the utmost part of the land. With Isaac did he establish likewise, for Abraham his father's sake, the blessing of all men in the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him, in his blessing, and gave him an heritage, and divided his portions. Among the 12 tribes did he part them. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 45. And he brought out of him a merciful man, which found favor in the sight of all flesh, even Moses, beloved of Yahweh, and men, whose memorial is blessed. He made him like to the glorious saints, and magnified him, so that his enemies stood in fear of him. By his words he caused the wonders to cease, and he made him glorious in the sight of kings, and gave him a commandment for his people, and shewed him part of his glory. He sanctified him in his faithfulness and meekness, and chose him out of all men. He made him to hear his voice, and brought him into the dark cloud, and gave him commandments before his face, even the law of life and knowledge, that he might teach Jacob his covenants, and Israel his judgments. He exalted Aaron, an holy man like unto him, even his brother of the tribe of Levi. An everlasting covenant he made with him, and gave him the priesthood among the people. He beautified him with comely ornaments, and clothed him with a robe of glory. He put upon him perfect glory, and strengthened him with rich garments, with breeches, with a long robe, and the ephod. And he compassed him with pomegranates, and with many golden bells round about, that as he went there might be a sound, and a noise made that might be heard in the temple, for a memorial to the children of his people. With an holy garment, with gold, and blue silk, and purple, the work of the embroiderer, with a breastplate of judgment, and with Urim and Thummim. With twisted scarlet, the work of the cunning workman, with precious stones graven like seals, and set in gold, the work of the jeweler, with a writing engraved for a memorial, after the number of the tribes of Israel. He set a crown of gold upon the mitre, wherein was engraved holiness, an ornament of honor, a costly work, the desires of the eyes, goodly and beautiful. Before him there were none such, neither did ever any stranger put them on, but only his children and his children's children perpetually. Their sacrifices shall be wholly consumed every day twice continually. Moses consecrated him and anointed him with holy oil. This was appointed unto him by an everlasting covenant, and to his seed, so long as the heavens should remain, that they should minister unto him, and execute the office of the priesthood, and bless the people in his name. He chose him out of all men living to offer sacrifices to the Lord, incense and a sweet savor, for a memorial, to make reconciliation for his people. He gave unto him his commandments and authority in the statutes of judgments, that he should teach Jacob the testimonies, and inform Israel of his laws. Strangers conspired together against him, and maligned him in the wilderness, even the men that were with Dathan's and Abiram's side, in the congregation of Korah, with fury and wrath. This the Lord saw, and it displeased him, and in his wrathful indignation were they consumed. He did wonders upon them, to consume them with the fiery flame. But he made Aaron more honorable, and gave him an heritage, and divided unto him the firstfruits of the increase. Especially he prepared bread in abundance, for they eat of the sacrifices of the Lord, which he gave unto him and his seed. Howbeit, in the land of the people he had no inheritance, neither had he any portion among the people, for the Lord himself is his portion and inheritance. The third in glory is Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, because he had zeal in the fear of the Lord, and stood up with good courage of heart when the people were turned back, and made reconciliation for Israel. Therefore was there a covenant of peace made with him, that he should be the chief of the sanctuary and of his people, and that he and his posterity should have the dignity of the priesthood forever, according to the covenant made with David, son of Jesse, of the tribe of Judah, that the inheritance of the king should be to his posterity alone. So the inheritance of Aaron should also be unto his seed. Yahweh give you wisdom in your heart to judge his people in righteousness, that their good things be not abolished, and that their glory may endure forever. Read the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapters 46 and 47. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 46. Jesus, the son of Navi, was valiant in the wars, and was the successor of Moses in prophecies, who according to his name was made great for the saving of the elect of Yahweh, and taking vengeance of the enemies that rose up against them, that he might set Israel in their inheritance. How great glory got he when he did lift up his hands and stretch out his sword against the cities. Who before him so stood to it? For the Lord himself brought his enemies unto him. Did not the sun go back by his means, and was not one day as long as two? He called upon the Most High Lord when the enemies pressed upon him on every side, and the great Lord heard him. And with hailstones of mighty power he made the battle to fall violently upon the nations, and in the descent of Beth-horon he destroyed them that resisted, that the nations might know all their strength, because he fought in the sight of the Lord, and he followed the mighty one. In the time of Moses also he did a work of mercy, he and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, and that they withstood the congregation, and withheld the people from sin, and appeased the wicked murmuring. And of 600,000 people on foot, they too were preserved to bring them into the heritage, even unto the land that floweth with milk and honey. The Lord gave strength also unto Caleb, which remained with him unto his old age, so that he entered upon the high places of the land, and his seed obtained it for an heritage, that all the children of Israel might see that it is good to follow the Lord. And concerning the judges, every one by name, whose heart went not a whoring, nor departed from the Lord, let their memory be blessed. Let their bones flourish out of their place, and let the name of them that were honored be continued upon their children. Samuel the prophet of the Lord, beloved of his Lord, established a kingdom, and anointed princes over his people. By the law of the Lord he judged the congregation, and the Lord had respect unto Jacob. By his faithfulness he was found a true prophet, and by his word he was known to be faithful in vision. He called upon the mighty Lord when his enemies pressed upon him on every side, when he offered the sucking lamb. And the Lord thundered from heaven, and with a great noise made his voice to be heard. And he destroyed the rulers of the Tyrians, and all the princes of the Philistines. And before his long sleep he made protestations in the sight of the Lord and his anointed. I have not taken any man's goods, so much as a shoe, and no man did accuse him. And after his death he prophesied, and shewed the king his end, and lifted up his voice from the earth in prophecy, to blot out the wickedness of the people. This is Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 47. And after him rose up Nathan to prophesy in the time of David. As is the fat taken away from the peace offering, so was David chosen out of the children of Israel. He played with lions as with kids, and with bears as with lambs. Slew he not a giant when he was yet but young? And did he not take away reproach from the people, when he lifted up his hand with the stone and the sling, and beat down the boasting of Goliath? For he called upon the Most High Lord, and he gave him strength in his right hand to slay that mighty warrior, and set up the horn of his people. So the people honored him with 10,000s, and praised him in the blessings of the Lord, and that he gave him a crown of glory. For he destroyed the enemies on every side, and brought to naught the Philistines his adversaries, and brake their horn in sunder unto this day. In all his works he praised the Holy One most high with words of glory. With his whole heart he sung songs, and loved him that made him. He set singers also before the altar, that by their voices they might make sweet melody, and daily sing praises in their songs. He beautified their feast, and set in order the solemn times until the end, that they might praise his holy name, and that the temple might sound from morning. The Lord took away his sins, and exalted his horn forever. He gave him a covenant of kings, and a throne of glory in Israel. After him rose up a wise son, and for his sake he dwelt at large. Solomon reigned in a peaceful time, and was honored. For Yahweh made all quiet round about him, that he might build an house in his name, and prepare his sanctuary forever. How wise wast thou in thy youth, and as a flood, filled with understanding. Thy soul covered the whole earth, and thou filledst it with dark parables. Thy name went far unto the islands, and for thy peace thou wast beloved. The countries marveled at thee for thy songs and proverbs, and parables and interpretations. By the name of the Lord Power, which is called the Lord Power of Israel, thou didst gather gold as tin, and didst multiply silver as lead. Thou didst bow thy loins unto women, and by thy body thou wast brought into subjection. Thou didst stain thy honor, and pollute thy seed, so that thou broughtest wrath upon thy children, and wast grieved for thy folly. So the kingdom was divided, and out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious kingdom. But the Lord will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect, and the seed of him that loveth him he will not take away. Wherefore he gave a remnant unto Jacob, and out of him a root unto David. Thus rested Solomon with his fathers, and of his seed he left behind him Rehoboam, even the foolishness of the people, and one that had no understanding, who turned away the people through his counsel. There was also Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin, and shewed Ephraim the way of sin. And their sins were multiplied exceedingly, that they were driven out of the land, for they sought out all wickedness till the vengeance came upon them. Hey, Shalom Akim, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakathum. Today we're going to read the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapters 48 and 49. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 48. Then stood up Elias the prophet as fire, and his word burned like a lamp. He brought a sore famine upon them, and by his zeal he diminished their number. By the word of the Lord he shut up the heaven, and also 3 times brought down fire. O Elias, how wast thou honored in thy wondrous deeds? And who made glory like unto thee? Who didst raise up a dead man from death, and his soul from the place of the dead? By the word of the Most High. Who broughtest kings to destruction, and honorable men from their bed? Who heardest the rebuke of the Lord in Sinai, and in Horeb the judgment of vengeance? Who anointest kings to take revenge, and prophets to succeed after him? Who was taken up in a whirlwind of fire, and in a chariot of fiery horses? Who was ordained for reproofs in their times, to pacify the wrath of the Lord's judgment, before it break forth into fury, and to turn the heart of the father unto the son, and to restore the tribes of Jacob? Blessed are they that saw thee, and slept in love, for we shall surely live. Elias it was who was covered with a whirlwind, and Ecclesiasticus was filled with his spirit. Whilst he lived, he was not moved with the presence of any prince, neither could any bring him into subjection. No word could overcome him, and after his death his body prophesied. He did wonders in his life, and at his death were his works marvelous. For all this the people repented not, neither departed they from their sins, till they were spoiled and carried out of their land, and were scattered through all the earth. Yet there remained a small people, and a ruler in the house of David, of whom some did that which was pleasing to the Most High, and some multiplied sins. Ezekias fortified his city, and brought in water into the midst thereof. He digged the hard rock with iron, and made wells for water. In his time Sennacherib came up, and sent Rabsaces, and lifted up his hand against Sion, and boasted proudly. Then trembled their hearts and hands, and they were in pain as women in travail. But they called upon the Lord, which is merciful, and stretched out their hands toward him. And immediately the Holy One heard them out of heaven, and delivered them by the ministry of Isaiah. He smote the host of the Assyrians, and his angel destroyed them. For Ezekias had done the thing that pleased the Lord, and was strong in the ways of David his father, as Isaiah the prophet, who was great and faithful in his vision, had commanded him. In his time the sun went backward, and he lengthened the king's life. He saw by an excellent spirit what should come to pass at the last, and he comforted them that mourn in Sion. He shewed what should come to pass forever, and secret things wherever they came. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 49. The remembrance of Josias is like the composition of the perfume that is made by the art of the apothecary. It is sweet as honey in all mouths, and as music at a banquet of wine. He behaved himself uprightly in the conversation of the people, and took away the abominations of iniquity. He directed his heart unto the Lord, and in the time of the ungodly he established the worship of Yahweh. All, except David and Ezekias and Josias, were defective, for they forsook the law of the Most High. Even the kings of Judah failed. Therefore he gave their power unto others, and their glory to a strange nation. They burnt the chosen city of the sanctuary, and made the streets desolate, according to the prophecy of Jeremiah. For they entreated him evil, who nevertheless was a prophet, sanctified in his mother's womb, that he might root out and afflict and destroy, and that he might build up also and plant. It was Ezekiel who saw the glorious vision, which was shewed him upon the chariot of the cherubims. For he made mention of the enemies under the figure of the rain, and directed them that went right. And of the 12 prophets, let the memorial be blessed, and let their bones flourish again out of their place. For they comforted Jacob, and delivered them by a short hope. How shall we magnify Zerubbabel? Even he was a signet on the right hand. So was Jesus the son of Josedech, who in their time builded the house, and set up an holy temple to the Lord, which was prepared for everlasting glory. And among the elect was Nehemiah, who renowned is great, who raised up for us the walls that were fallen, and set up the gates and the bars, and raised up our ruins again. But upon the earth was no man created like Enoch, for he was taken from the earth. Neither was there a man born like unto Joseph, a governor of his brethren, a stay of the people, whose bones were regarded of the Lord. Sem and Seth were in great honor among men, and so was Adam above every living thing in the creation. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapters 50 and 51. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 50. Simon the high priest, the son of Onias, who in his life repaired the house again, and in his days fortified the temple, and by him was built from the foundation the double height, the high fortress of the wall about the temple. In his days the cistern to receive water, being encompassed as the sea, was covered with plates of brass. He took care of the temple that it should not fall, and fortified the city against besieging. How was he honored in the midst of the people in his coming out of the sanctuary? He was as the morning star in the midst of a cloud, and as the moon at the full, as the sun shining upon the temple of the Most High, and as the rainbow giving light in the bright clouds, and as the flower of roses in the spring of the year, as lilies by the rivers of waters, and as the branches of the frankincense tree in the time of summer, as fire and incense in the censer, and as a vessel of beaten gold set with all manner of precious stones, and as a fair olive tree budding forth fruit, and as a cypress tree which groweth up to the clouds. When he put on the robe of honor, and was clothed with the perfection of glory, when he went up to the holy altar, he made the garment of holiness honorable. When he took the portions out of the priest's hands, he himself stood by the hearth of the altar, compassed with his brethren round about, as a young cedar tree in Lebanon, and as palm trees compassed they him round about. So were all the sons of Aaron in their glory, and the oblations of the Lord in their hands, before all the congregation of Israel. And finishing the service at the altar, that he might adorn the offering of the Most High Almighty, he stretched out his hand to the cup, and poured of the blood of the grape. He poured out at the foot of the altar a sweet-smelling savor unto the Most High King of all. Then shouted the sons of Aaron, and sounded the silver trumpets, and made a great noise to be heard, for a remembrance before the Most High. Then all the people together hasted and fell down to the earth upon their faces, to worship their Lord God Almighty, the Most High. The singers also sang praises with their voices, with great variety of sounds which there made sweet melody. And the people besought the Lord, the Most High, by prayer before him that is merciful, till the solemnity of the Lord was ended, and they had finished his service. Then he went down and lifted up his hands over the whole congregation of the children of Israel, to give the blessing of the Lord with his lips, and to rejoice in his name. And they bowed themselves down to worship the second time, that they might receive a blessing from the Most High. Now therefore bless ye the God of all, which only doeth wondrous things everywhere, which exalted our days from the womb, and dealeth with us according to his mercy. He grant us joyfulness of heart, and that peace may be in our days in Israel forever, that he would confirm his mercy with us, and deliver us at his time. There be two manner of nations which my heart abhorreth, and the third is no nation. They that sit upon the mountain of Samaria, and they that dwell among the Philistines, and that foolish people that dwell in Shechem. Jesus the son of Sirach of Jerusalem hath written in this book the instruction of understanding and knowledge, who out of his heart poured forth wisdom. Blessed is he that shall be exercised in these things, and he that layeth them up in his heart shall become wise. For if he do them, he shall be strong to all things. For the light of the Lord leadeth him, who giveth wisdom to the godly. Blessed be the Lord forever. Amen, amen. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus of Sirach, chapter 51. I will thank thee, O Lord and King, and praise thee, O Yahweh my Savior. I do give praise unto thy name. For thou art my defender and helper, and hast preserved my body from destruction, and from the snare of the slanderous tongue, and from the lips that forge lies. It has been mine helper against mine adversaries, and has delivered me according to the multitude of thy mercies and greatness of thy name from the teeth of them that were ready to devour me, and out of the hands of such as sought after my life, and from the manifold afflictions which I had, from the choking of fire on every side, and from the midst of the fire which I kindled not, from the depth of the belly of hell, from an unclean tongue, and from lying words. By an accusation to the king, from an unrighteous tongue, my soul drew near even unto death. My life was near to the hell beneath. They compassed me on every side, and there was no man to help me. I looked for the succor of men, but there was none. Then thought I upon thy mercy, O Lord, and upon thy acts of old, how thou deliverest such as wait for thee, and savest them out of the hands of the enemies. Then lifted I up my supplication from the earth, and prayed for deliverance from death. I called upon the Lord, the Father of my Lord, that he would not leave me in the days of my trouble, and in the time of the proud, when there was no help. I will praise thy name continually, and will sing praise with thanksgiving. And so my prayer was heard. For thou savest me from destruction, and deliverest me from the evil time. Therefore will I give thanks and praise thee, and bless thy name, O Lord. When I was yet young, or ever I went abroad, I desired wisdom openly in my prayer. I prayed for her before the temple, and will seek her out even to the end. Even from the flower till the grape was ripe, had my heart delighted in her. My foot went the right way, from my youth up sought I after her. I bowed down mine ear a little, and received her, and gat much learning. I profited therein, therefore will I ascribe the glory unto him that giveth me wisdom. For I purpose to do after her, and earnestly I followed that which is good. So shall I not be confounded. My soul have wrestled with her, and in my doings I was exact. I stretched forth mine hands to the heaven above, and bewailed my ignorances of her. I directed my soul unto her, and I found her in pureness. I have had my heart joined with her from the beginning, therefore shall I not be forsaken. My heart was troubled in seeking her, therefore have I gotten a good possession. The Lord hath given me a tongue for my reward, and I will praise him therewith. Draw near unto me, ye unlearned, and dwell in the house of learning. Wherefore are ye slow? And what say ye of these things, seeing your souls are very thirsty? I opened my mouth and said, buy her for yourselves without money. Put your neck under the yoke, and let your soul receive instruction. She is hard at hand to find. Behold with your eyes how that I have had but little labor, and have gotten unto me much rest. Get learning with a great sum of money, and get much gold by her. Let your soul rejoice in his mercy, and be not ashamed of his praise. Work your work betimes, and in his time he will give you your reward. That's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapters 50 and 51. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Barakathum, and as always, double shalom.